we were taking on people that both were from the elevator industry. Really recently, I'm just seeing the people that have been in the Nationwide Lifts network and had that good elevator background and that good elevator passion are just, they're taking off. I mean, that things have just been growing exponentially, and it's really time for us to get out and find the right people to fill out the rest of the network. So that's
no, I would think so. And so it sounds like from what I'm hearing, at least, the kind of the pure entrepreneur that wants to buy in without elevator experience just may not be the right fit. Is that fair to say?
That's really what I'm seeing. As much as I want to say, we could could make it work for anyone, it's the people that have that passion for this industry that are successful. To me the ideal person is somebody who knows is already a mechanic, already really has a good understanding and has that entrepreneurial spirit, but just doesn't know how to take that step. Somebody like that, we can show them all the things they need to just take off.
No, that's awesome. I mean, honestly, I have those kind of conversations all the time. I mean, it's pretty regular that somebody's saying to me, man, I really want an equity opportunity, right? I want a chance to kind of own and run my own thing. And, for whatever reason, there's all kinds of hurdles. Sometimes they're financial. Sometimes it's maybe just having a little bit of coaching.
Hello, and welcome to Elevator Tools and Tech, a special series from the Elevator Careers podcast, where we spotlight the latest innovations, tools, suppliers, and technology driving the vertical transportation industry. In each episode, we sit down with the creators, engineers, and solution providers who are helping elevator companies work smarter, safer, and more efficiently. This episode of Elevator Tools and Tech is brought to you by Nationwide Lifts, a leader in residential elevators and one of the first companies in the industry to build a large-scale franchise model centered on local ownership and customer care. I interviewed co-founder Andy Darnley to talk about what sets residential work apart, how diversification has helped create stability and growth, and opportunities for elevator technicians to step into entrepreneurship through launching a franchise with Nationwide Lifts. You can learn more about franchising at www.elevators.com/franchise. You can also contact Jason Boer, jason@elevators.com, to learn more about the opportunity. Now, let's dive in.
Andy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. I'm excited. I've always enjoyed our conversations. And obviously today we get a chance to talk about Nationwide Lifts and kind of the beginning. I mean, you've been at this for how long now?
It's been about 25 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a while. Well, and you told me you kind of grew up in the industry, right? A family adventure.
Yeah. Well, it's 3 generations of it. My grandfather started an elevator company in Buffalo, New York, back in the 70s, and my father had his own elevator company in Lake George, New York, and started in the 90s. So I grew up in it, which a lot of guys in the elevator industry, that's kind of how they get into it. It's
Right.
it kind of runs in the family.
Right. Well, how did you get started with Nationwide Lifts? Obviously, you kind of had the DNA, you had the family support, you had a knowledge of the industry. What was it that kind of helped you launch Nationwide?
Well, it was more looking for a different path, slightly different path than what my father and grandfather had done, but still in the same realm. And my brother and I really saw an opportunity in the residential area, so we decided to take a crack at it, and the internet was just it was just in its infancy back then. It was right around 2000, and so there really wasn't a whole lot of competition out there at the time. Obviously there were home elevators and all, but the marketing side wasn't really there, and it really just took off. I mean, we had a great opportunity to get some great web presence, and I was in California at the time. He was in New York at the time, and we quickly realized we weren't going to be able to handle all the leads and all the business that was coming our way. So that's when we decided that franchising might be the best opportunity.
Interesting. Yeah, tell me about that franchise model. I mean, obviously you kind of started with that from the get-go, and I mean, were there any other franchise models in the elevator industry that you were aware of, or was that kind of a pioneering move for you?
There was nothing like that at the time, and really, so it was a very uh, different approach,
Yeah.
very different approach. And it was little bit of a chance and all, but really we saw it as the best way to grow. It's tough to give customers the attention they need, from afar, and to manage an office from afar. So we felt the best way to do that was to have independent owners in each of those territories, really giving it the attention it needed. So it was really about a year or two after we got started, where we said, it's got to be, the franchising's got to be the way. So.
Well, especially if you're in California and he's in New York, and I don't know the kind of breakdown of the industry, right? But like I said, there wasn't a lot of competition, and so if somebody in Indiana wants a home elevator, and you guys are on two opposite parts of the country, yeah, you got to think creatively about that.
We found a way to make it work for a while until we started filling in some areas. Yeah.
Yeah. So you started pretty early on with that franchise model, but then you also told me that at some point you really felt like that model needed to evolve, and I think that's where we're at right now is kind of a chance to build it, rebuild it, remodel it.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a restart for us. I guess there's probably a better term for that, but essentially we were growing for about 10 years or so, and we just got to a point where something wasn't working. I mean, for some of our franchises were doing great, and others maybe not so much. And really, after a lot of thought and coming back around to it, it really came down to the people who we. When we first started franchising, we were taking on people that both were from the elevator industry. Really recently, I'm just seeing the people that have been in the Nationwide Lifts network and had that good elevator background and that good elevator passion they're taking off. I mean, that things have just been growing exponentially, and it's really time for us to get out and find the right people to fill out the rest of the network. So that's
I would think so. And so it sounds like, from what I'm hearing at least, the kind of the pure entrepreneur that wants to buy in without elevator experience just may not be the right fit. Is that fair to say?
That's really what I'm seeing. As much as I want to say, we could could make it work for anyone, it's the people that have that passion for this industry that are successful. To me the ideal person is somebody who knows is already a mechanic, already really has a good understanding, and then and has that entrepreneurial spirit, but just doesn't know how to take that step. That somebody like that, we can show them all the things they need to just take off.
No, that's awesome. I mean, honestly, I have those kind of conversations all the time. I mean, it's pretty regular that somebody's saying to me, man, I really want an equity opportunity, right? I want a chance to kind of own and run my own thing. And, for whatever reason, there's all kinds of hurdles. Sometimes they're financial. Sometimes it's maybe just having a little bit of coaching. And so I'm curious, I mean, you take somebody who maybe they've been in the trade, maybe they've, been a licensed mechanic, they really want that. What are some of the biggest mindset shifts, right, that it takes to own and run a business versus run a route, or versus, do a heavy repair or something like that?
A lot of people would say it's about being able to sell, or being able to manage the books, or do the marketing, things like that. But really, we have all that under control for people. I mean, we can help them get sales. We can help them with all that stuff. The toughest thing for somebody, and I had to deal with it myself, and I've seen others, it coming up as somebody who knows how to turn a wrench, somebody who knows how to do the mechanics, is to hire those first employees, and to train those first employees, and then to let them go. Because elevator guys are kind of wired in a certain way where they're out in the field. Every call is like some puzzle to solve, and you got your way of solving it, and so one way or another you have to solve it. You figure it out, and you do it. then to turn and trust somebody to take that and solve it on their own and fail and learn and everything. That's one of the toughest things. But in order to grow, you do need to you need to be able to scale, and you do need to be able to hand over the reins to other people. And so that was one of the toughest things for me. But
yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I've noticed that in my own business, right? That in order to grow, in order to allow somebody, I have to let go of my desire to control, exactly how it's going to go. And then I have to have my hands in everything. It's like,
right.
No, it's definitely a mindset, definitely just an awareness that, okay, I'm really gonna have to do that. And I'm gonna have to probably, keep doing it, because it's so easy to just latch back onto it and let me take that.
But once you get to that point where you have a team that's out there performing, and the calls get fewer and fewer, and next thing you know, they're just out there doing their own thing, and and Monday through Friday goes by and you didn't even hear from them. It's a great feeling at the end, that you have a successful team out there getting that stuff done, and that's how you can really scale.
Well, and I know for myself, especially early on, it can be a little unsettling. Like, do I need to be doing something, right? Start to question, okay, why is it so quiet? Is that good?
Yeah. I'm so lucky to have just some great teams, and that's really it's all about the people. That's really what makes the biggest difference. Yeah.
Well, and you've obviously gone through the same evolution, if you will. Were there any other things that you kind of had to learn or even unlearn as you went from kind of those early days to having franchises to leading a nationwide organization? I mean, certainly those are different shoes to wear.
Yeah. But it's each thing is a challenge. We've over the years, we've there's been I can't even I don't think we have enough time to cover even half of them. But yes, certain things we've on the marketing side over the years, we've dealt with the ups and downs of Google and all of their algorithm changes, and I feel like we really have that down. The marketing at first was the thing that I saw as our biggest advantage, and it still is a huge advantage.
Sure.
We have elevators.com. I mean, it's as good of a URL as you can get, and 23 other websites out there that are constantly bringing leads into our network. We've always had a great CRM system, which is basically managing all of the leads and getting them out to people. But one thing that we struggled with over the years was the project management side.
Okay.
Yeah, so we still are very, very good at managing leads through the quote system all the way through the sale. But then after that, we didn't have a really good solution for managing the service, and so now we have that in place. So that was another big hurdle for us to get through. So it's just we listen to the to each of the offices, each of the owners. We have a monthly call every month, and they're really the source of where our marching orders should be.
Absolutely.
So they're saying, because everybody will be like, hey, did any of you guys have this problem? Do any of you guys have this problem? And when there's this consensus, it's pretty clear. Okay, I got an action item here. I got to go solve. So we do a great job of bringing the leads in, providing all the tools to close on those, and follow it all the way through the cycle. But yeah, that's a huge part of getting started is the sales, building that pipeline. Yeah.
Right. Do I have the work to do? Well, let me go find it. But well, let's talk a little bit about the VRCs. You've talked about these vertical reciprocating, I think you called it.
Yeah. Vertical reciprocating conveyors. Yeah.
There you go.
It's like a freight elevator essentially. So it's something that a lot of elevator guys don't necessarily get into. It's kind of a strange it's a strange piece of the elevator industry, in that it's not quite regulated the way that traditional passenger elevators are, and so
because no deals on them, right? It's just
because it's just strictly freight. So it's just different. But over the years, we found we do great with the home elevator market. That's where we got our start. We go through we do a lot of commercial wheelchair lifts. We do all the way up to a Lula elevator, which is basically limited use type of commercial elevator, right? So we've done all that over the years. We're probably about maybe 70% residential and 30% commercial now.
Okay.
But then we're always looking to be diverse, so that no matter what is thrown at us, we're going to be able to stay busy, stay profitable in all of our offices. We really knock down the barriers there, and help our offices get set up with that. So now they have something that's also going to help them be diverse and a little bit more protected from any kind of recession in one area or another. But they also have a good baseline of maintenance business, and in the elevator industry, maintenance is huge. So by getting this VRC business as a solid maintenance, it just helps to have that bottom line to go along with all of the other installation and service business on the residential and light commercial side. So this is something we've been doing for about 4 or 5 years, and it's still growing. So it's becoming a big part of our business, and some offices more than other, just depending on the region, are just killing it.
Doing it right, yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that, because there's an Amazon warehouse not too far from my house, and it's like 4 stories high, and I've never been inside, never been invited, right? But in my mind, I'm like, what does it look like, up and down to get things moved around? But it sounds like they may have some of those VRCs going on to
it's
move
possible
products from floor to floor, and if you have a big enough organization to actually tap into some of those, and then you can, like you say, hand them out to individual franchisees to, okay, you take care of this one, and Billy Bob's going to take care of that one, and then, like you say, then they've got service business and installation business. And that's it. How long have you as a company been in the VRC business, if you will?
About 5 years, I'd say. Yeah. So it's still relatively new to us, but it's growing, and we've become very good at it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and you've said that. Yeah, it was kind of a hidden gem, as it were, just that it, maybe you didn't really know about it, and all of a sudden there's a huge opportunity, and might as well take advantage of it. So I want to talk a minute about your the territories, right? Because it sounds like in the early days you had maybe just a few, and they were probably pretty big, and so it sounds like you're kind of focusing on smaller. And as I recall from our conversation before, you talked about how sometimes the smaller territories actually perform better. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about why that would be.
Yeah. In the beginning, our territories might have been 2 states. I mean, they were absolutely huge, and what we found over time is that several of the offices, even though they might have had a full state or a couple, would really focus in on something that maybe was a 2-hour, 3-hour radius, and they would be doing just as well in that 2-hour radius as if they had the entire state, or somebody else had the entire state. And they're much more efficient. I'm doing it much more the more difficult way right now, because I'm seeding a lot of future territories, and so my guys are on the road a lot. They're staying overnight in the hotels. They're away from their families. It's a tough gig. Versus the guys who are within a 2-3 hour radius, they're able to their guys are able to stay at home at night, but then they also don't have a lot of that extra travel expense with hotels and per diems and wear and tear on all the vehicles and the service calls. In other words, getting a service call is 5 hours away, and it's an urgent thing. So
in the middle of the night, right? No less.
Yeah, but really, what I found is that the business is there, and if you do focus in, if it's the right type of territory, but if you focus in on that that particular territory, you can keep yourself completely busy in a 2 or 3 hour radius and be perfectly happy. So we're seeing several of the franchises really growing and bringing in just as much revenue as somebody who's covering a state or two. And
Right.
so as we grow, that's what I'd really like to see more of that. Where I used to say, well, just run with the entire state. I'd really like to maybe break the states into two and give people an opportunity to really go deeper into those regions.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, I think it speaks to the opportunity of the industry overall, right? That there's more density there in need, and, you might as well hit the ones that are close versus like you say, driving 4 or 5 hours when you've passed, however many opportunities in the meantime.
Yeah, and some of this VRC opportunity. I mean, there's so much business in just a couple of sites to keep a team or two busy at full time. And the other side of that is that service wise, they expect to see a more immediate type of service, and so you do want to be local.
Yeah, absolutely. So the residential elevator industry, just residential, right? It almost sounds deceptively simple, but obviously it's not the same as commercial. But I think the hard part for me, in my mind, right? I've not worked on one. What makes working in someone's home uniquely challenging?
Yeah, if you haven't done it before, it's definitely there. Like if you've been working in the commercial industry, it's a totally different animal because you're used to they're going to be open. You're going to show up and do your monthly maintenance, and 9 to 5, you can walk right in, get your keys from the front desk, and go and take care of it. And that makes it easier to do routes. But on the residential side, you're dealing with, oh no, I got a doctor's appointment. I got to go pick up the kids. You actually have to. The scheduling becomes a much more important side of things. And then just the personal side of things. When you're in somebody's home, there's a just a higher level of respect, taking your shoes off,
Right.
the pleasantries, getting to know people and so on. It's definitely, it's just a more personal, side of things. But it's just as rewarding. And in some ways it's even more rewarding because you really do change people's lives. I mean, we've installed elevators so many times where the person hadn't been upstairs in 2 years.
Wow.
Like they literally have been sleeping downstairs, didn't even remember what their upstairs looked like. And you see that, the emotion when you actually bring something to their house that allows them to start using the whole home again. And it's rewarding.
It's very, very personal, right? So it's personal whether you bang your toolbox on the wall and put a divot in the shutter rock, or like you say, or taking someone where they haven't been in years and really giving them that freedom. And so, yeah, it's just that important space, sacred space, whatever, kind of comes to mind with that, being in someone's home. So, have you had any stories, any experiences you want to share where because of that, that personal space, somebody may be saved the day, or maybe they cost a client because they just weren't respectful enough in that space?
Yeah, like any elevator guy, I've got lots of stories. But yeah, I mean, we've definitely had situations where somebody wasn't respectful enough, or for one reason or another, we're basically asked don't send that person back again. I mean, it happens, and it could be something as simple as leaving a cigarette butt somewhere, or something of that nature. But you deal with some things that are a little bit more touchy, but many more experiences as far as just really changing people's lives.
That's cool.
Really just like I said, that they hadn't been upstairs in a long time. That they thought that they were going to have to move. I mean, so many stories about people who really they thought that they had to move. They didn't even think about an elevator. But then they started shopping. They couldn't find a home in their area, and then someone finally said, "Why don't you get an elevator?" And and we were able to do that, and it just changed your life. They had spent 40 years in this home, and they basically they want to spend the rest of their life there, and now they can,
Sure.
See, like
Especially that's their dream home, right? And the kids grew up there, and you got all kinds of these memories. And I mean, I was thinking, when we first started talking, you said, what was it, 24 years ago? I mean, granted, I grew up kind of rural Wyoming, right? Elevators in homes just didn't exist in my mind, and so, like you're saying, some people just don't know it's an option. I mean, I think more and more it's becoming, people are becoming aware of it, but I don't know, never crossed my mind that long ago.
It's definitely propagating. Back when I first started, down in the southeast, and all across the south, just the retirement areas. That's where you would see them. You would see a lot more of it in the Carolinas and in Florida, in Texas, but not up where I'm in New York, and so not upstate or up in the Northeast. But over time, it's propagated, and we're seeing it more and more. The other side of this I should throw in there too is we do a lot of elevators that are for people who need them, or in normal houses, but then we also get to do some really cool stuff. So we do some some really high end, the multi-million-dollar houses, and the one of a kind type of elevators. We really um, back around, well, the bubble, the 2008, right?
Okay.
That really hurt us, and so certain areas it really dropped quite a bit. But what we found was the higher end stuff was still there, even
Sure.
with the housing market really dropped, the higher end type of need or desire was still there. And so we launched a product called Artisan Elevators back then.
Nice.
And it's and so it's for the custom, the ultra custom type of elevator. And over time we moved from partnering with people to make it for us, to where now we actually make it ourselves.
Okay. And
so our franchises get an opportunity to do that type of product as well, which is just really it's whatever you can dream up, glass elevators, birdcage elevators, just one of a kind type of stuff.
I was going to say that sounds really exciting, because people, like I say, in the multi-million-dollar houses, they want it to look right, to feel right, to act right. I mean, they're not going to go for the cheap one when when you can get one that looks right and it complements the house, and the designer,
exactly,
gets to weigh in on it. And, that's all. And I have looked at your website. Those are some beautiful machines you've got there. So
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And, you talked a little bit about the bubble of '08, and obviously you've weathered the bubbles, the recessions, and COVID. What did each of these downturns teach you about the resilience in this industry?
It's about diversification, really. Like I mentioned, that the 2008 bubble, it hit all of us quite a bit, but some areas more than others, and that's where we said, look, we cannot just be in the this one area with the standard type of elevator. We really need to double down on other markets, and so that's where we really pushed on the Artisan, and really made a name for ourselves there. And then COVID, obviously, like everybody else, COVID really it shut down a lot of our installations, our new installation type of business. So we tightened our belts and left a lot of stuff in the warehouses, and but the service side still had to be there. I mean, people still needed their elevators, so we did a little bit more of maintenance oriented stuff around the residential. We pushed a little bit more on the maintenance side of the commercial, and that's where we that's about the timing when we started pushing on the VRC. So the VRC work and that maintenance helps to make us be able to weather these type of storms that might come along. So with each of these things that are thrown our way, we're finding ways to deal with them, but also grow that new knowledge to help us in the future.
How do you prepare your franchisees for if they haven't been running a business, for example, and they've got the elevator knowledge and the passion, just that there are business cycles. How do you kind of help them think through that and be okay with kind of the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows?
I think a lot of it is just helping to build up the confidence, and the confidence is really built through the successes of the other offices. I mean, they don't have to listen to me. They could call up any of the other owners, and they would gladly talk to them about how it was getting started, and some of the challenges that they've had, and help to build up some of that confidence, and just let them know, you will get through this, and you're going to be better for it. We get everybody together once a year. The NEAC organization, the Elevator Constructors Organization, has a conference every September, and so when they do that, we get all all of the franchise owners together as well. We do about a day of meetings, and going over new products and tools and stuff like that. But we also spend a couple days just having a happy hour together, going out to dinner together, and that's where more stuff happens during the happy hours and the dinners than the PowerPoint stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and just having that built-in support network, if you will, right? So maybe you're 3 states away, but hey, here's what I'm experiencing, and I met you last month at the the NAC event, and want to see if you got a minute to help. And I'm sure there's a lot of just kind of helping each other through the.
There's so much. Sometimes the guys they'll fly out and help them. I mean, it's amazing how it's like a family. It really is like a family, and it's not uncommon for somebody to say, well, you know what, I have some time, or one of my guys has some time. We'll send them out to help you for a couple of days. Yeah, but definitely all the time they're always available on the phone.
That's very cool. And you mentioned in previous conversations, that having the franchise model isn't one in which you like force one vendor or force one way of doing things, and you've kind of chosen flexibility over control. Has that ever backfired, or do you feel like that's really the right way to go about it?
Yeah, a lot of people thought I was crazy because we don't we're like a typical franchise type of network. There's the franchisor is trying to make money on the sale of goods and everything like that. We're not doing that. We're basically we just want to have a broad pipeline of the right stuff, and ultimately we want the customer to get whatever is best for the customer. So if one of the offices, if one of the owners says, hey, I'd really like to try this product, it's not something that's in our catalog, or something that you've negotiated a deal with, we're totally supportive of it, because I look at it as this owner is going to invest his time into finding out if this product is good, is going to install it, work with the customer, and report back to the team and let us know what he thinks, and many times that's actually proven to be a win, where on the monthly call everyone will ask, and and then next thing you know, it becomes a part of our product line.
Everybody else is doing it, going, oh, I heard about that. That went really well. So.
Yeah, and it really, ultimately we have a set group of products that we work with, that we're marketing in our catalog and on our website. But if somebody, if they had a relationship with a different manufacturer and wanted to use that, it's not a problem. We encourage, to a lot, whatever product makes the most sense for the customer. Ultimately, that's always the answer to the question.
And I like that. I mean, obviously it's, it gives, like you say, it gives people an opportunity to get what they want. At the same time, gives your franchisees a chance to try new things and ultimately better the entire organization.
Exactly.
Very, very cool. So I got a couple more questions before we before we end. But the first one, if you were to envision a licensed mechanic, maybe they're listening right now, maybe they're are tired of not just long hours, but kind of working somebody else's dream, if you will, and they're dreaming of independence. What would you tell them about the first 6 months of running a franchise, and what emotions might be coming up, because it's going to be a little bit different?
Yeah. It's a roller coaster ride. It's definitely a roller coaster ride when you're starting a business. But what I can tell you is that starting a business with us on your side, there's a real safety net there that this roller coaster ride is going to end in a great way. But what it's going to be exciting. It's going to be stressful. It's definitely going to be a mix of emotions along the way. But the first 6 months, typically it's all about the sales. Like, give me more leads, trying to ramp up as fast as you can. And that can take even longer than 6 months. I mean, first sales would happen within 6 months, but to really build up that pipeline and to get it where it's really rolling, could take a little bit more than a year. But you wouldn't have to be worrying about how you're going to manage all of those leads. How should my quotes be formatted? How should my terms and everything be formatted? We're there to help coach along the way and get them over that hurdle. And then before long, after about the first year or two, and you got the pipeline going, then it's all about it's all about the products, and we got to improve this product, make this better or make that better or whatever. And that it's been really interesting over the years. Early on, we had all these franchises, and it was really about leads. That's all we talked about was marketing and how do we get more leads, and we don't talk about that anymore. It's right now it's more about how do we improve the processes for the service, how do we improve some of the products and so on. So it's interesting to see how I think the way that it's gone with our franchises over many years is how the experience with a new franchisee would be, going from worried about leads to worrying about sales to worrying about now just just the operations, employees.
Sure.
Oh, we hire a new mechanic, right? So
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure, for the new person, there's, you can say, a roller coaster of emotions and kind of figuring out what's the groove, and then after a while things kind of click, and it's like, oh, okay, that was the right decision, but you kind of got to get through that. So, and like I say, definitely a bit of a leap of faith. So, Andy, talking about the mechanic, maybe they've started and become a franchisee. What's the moment when it clicks and they know that they've made the right call?
Yeah. So I'd say that there's probably not like a single moment, but there's so many little moments where even myself from time to time feel just really grateful or thankful, and that this is that I made some of these choices, and I know that the guys have done it too, because I've talked to them. So like one thing is just you go into a sales call, and that there's been two or three other elevator companies in there, and you're talking to them, and then you realize there's to that moment you realize I'm the only one that has this solution,
Wow.
and it's just like, we have such a thorough product line, and there's so many times where because of some of the custom stuff that we do, I just look in there, and I'm just we literally, I know that we are the only one with a solution, and it feels great. It feels great to be able to give them an answer, and the look on their face when they're like, "Are you kidding me? You can actually do all this?" And I've had so many people that have that type of expression and that type of feedback. So that feels great. And then the next part of that is, because I'm the only one that can do that solution, I know I'm going to have a really nice margin on it too.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's just the nature of of the business. But so there's because it's going to be something really custom, and it's going to be something really special. So that's nice. The other thing is that then I'll hand the card, the business card, and and it'll say Andy at elevators.com,
Right.
and I love that when when the customer's like at elevators.com, they just love that. So that's one nice thing that all of the all of our sales guys just absolutely love when they get to use that that. And I guess just the kind of more personal type of thing is just after hours or on the weekend, just walking through the shop and just looking around, looking at all the all the tools, all the the equipment, and just knowing this is something that I've built, and it just feels good. It just so it's times like that where you've made the right decision, and I really hope that that some of your listeners, some of the new people we're going to talk to will have a chance to feel that way.
Awesome. Thank you. So last question. Let's say I have the exact profile, experienced mechanic with an entrepreneurial streak, interested in seriously exploring this opportunity. Where would I start? What's kind of the first step?
The first step would really be reaching out to Jason. Jason Boer is our franchise manager. His email is jason@elevators.com. So really easy to remember. He has a bunch of material that he can share, some links to a part of our website that talks about the franchise opportunity. So usually engaging with Jason's the best way to get started, get some of that documentation right up front, and then pretty quickly on we do a Zoom or two, where me and Jason get on the phone and just we just get to know each other, try to understand what this person's interests are, what experience he or she has, and just try to figure out if there is a good fit, and then I really like to do face-to-face before too long too. It's just we really are like a family, and we're really looking for people who are going to really want to be part of that family.
Thrive, for sure. Yeah, and I'm sure it's a little bit like evaluating a new employee or adopting someone. It's almost like, all right, this is a big risk for us too, right? It's you got to make sure that, hey, I like you and you like me, and we think this is going to work. And so it sounds like a bit of a get to know you period that we're willing to both sign on the dotted line, as it were.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a long-term relationship.
For sure. With a lot of skin in the game on both parts.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, Andy, thank you for being with me. It's been a lot of fun to obviously talk to you, to get to know Nationwide Lifts a little bit better. And anything you'd like to say before we finish up? No,
I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, to share some of this information, and I really look forward to hopefully speaking with some of your listeners. So thank you for giving me this chance to share some of our experiences.
It's been great, and my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to Elevator Tools and Tech from the Elevator Careers Podcast. If you're interested in learning more about Nationwide Lift's franchise opportunities, please contact Jason Boer, the Franchise Sales Director, jason@elevators.com, or visit www.elevators.com/franchise to learn more. The link will be in the description below. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, stay safe.